Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals on the internet because you listen, I guess. I mean, at least that's what my analytics say. But anyway, I'm going to talk about our awesome sponsor, Go Fast, Don't Suck. If you need match jerseys, match banners for your match, you want some dry fire targets in the winter because, you know, you got free cash from Christmas so that you don't know what to spend it on, go buy some dry fire targets. You probably need to dry fire. But anyway, check out gofastdon'tsuck.net. They've got awesome products. Tell them Manny sent you, move on with your day. Without further ado, let's get to actually why we're here on the internet today, talking about the latest, greatest match that's going to come out in 2023, the Buckeye Blast. It's being reformed. It's being refabulated. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to talk about some of the guys behind the match, Mr. Corey Katz and Mr. Brad Crumey. How you doing today, gentlemen?
Hey, not too bad, man.
Great.
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for sitting with me the day after Christmas. So we're all going to have some fun. But let's get into this today. We're sitting down with my friend Corey and Brad. But Corey, for people who don't know you, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
My name's Corey Katz. I've been in shooting since probably like 2009 in shooting and 2013-14 in USPSA. Growing up, my mom never wanted to have a gun in the house, and eventually my dad said, no, we're going to have a gun. And that kind of snowballed into us meeting some people that shot USPSA, snowballed into my dad and I shooting USPSA, and now all three of us shoot USPSA. So been an RO for a couple of years now, CRO, and run stats at a lot of the local majors up Area 5 and around this area. So a lot of fun and love getting out and shooting.
Yeah, but a lot of people must mistake you for Mr. Corey Shield, right?
Yeah, so everyone mistakes me for Corey Shield because I shoot with Corey and I run his buffer system. So, I just tell them that I'm the better Corey, but he's the smarter Corey. It's all good.
I don't know, it'd be the other way around because he is a GM and you're only a master, right?
I'm the better person. No, Corey's a great guy.
Yeah, but for both of them, it's in PCC, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of true.
Thanks, Brad.
Shooting a rifle at a pistol match. It's not like Corey hasn't heard that before, right?
Oh, every time I see him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. No, if anyone's interested, go back, watch the Corey Shield episode. That was a great conversation with Corey. We go over about the buffer, so go check that one out. And then we're sitting down with my buddy Brad. Brad, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
Yeah, so hey guys, Brad Crumey. You've probably seen me in the most recent issue of USPSA magazine as one of the new range masters. So if you want to really read my intro, you can read that one. So I got into some form of practical shooting in around 2013. It was IDPA. Don't hate me. And a couple years later, I had made like master in IDPA. And I'm like, hey, I'm the hot shit, right? So I go shoot a USPSA match. Thought I was going to be hot shit there too. Yeah, not the case at all. So decided I was going to dedicate everything to USPSA. So like I said, started in 2015. I've been a certified RO since 2017, certified CRO since 2018, and as most of you know at this point now, or actually all of you know at this point now, I guess, I'm one of the newest certified range masters here in USPSA. So I'll be the range master at 3 matches this year. The first one's going to be the Kentucky Low Cap Classic, which is going to be an awesome kind of reimagining of Battle in the Bluegrass, if you guys remember that match. And of course, there's going to be Buckeye Blast, where I'm one of the range masters alongside Paul Hernandez, who's been kind of a staple at ranges around Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana for longer than I've been in the sport for sure. And then I'm also going to be one of the range masters at Area 6 this year. So going to be a good time. Hope to see everybody on the range. You guys know me; I'm a pretty easygoing dude, so don't like to deal with any bullshit or anything like that. Just
no, you should make sure Brad has to deal with bullshit.
Well, yeah, I mean that's usually what Corey does. I mean he was the chrono guy at one of the matches I was RM assistant at last year, and he made my life hell.
Yeah,
not really.
Gouged my mag gauge. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were the only one talking on the radio at that match. The only one.
Because my radio was the only one that worked.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. I mean, that range needs some radios. We got to give that match some love, I guess. They need some money.
They definitely need some love. The attendance this year wasn't great, so
but
hopefully we can fix that.
Yeah, hopefully.
anybody that wants to go, in addition to Buckeye Blast, you should go to Ryan Rocks up in Michigan. It's a great cause. Bob and Kristen really do great things for kids up there. So.
Yes, they do. They are fantastic. And I guess I gotta talk to Jeffrey. It's about time he sends me an email about signing up for his match.
Nah, he's too worried about football right now.
Well, that's true. Not as important as Dan is with his football, because he doesn't love us, and he's gonna go watch a football game.
I think he's doing like family Christmas today, but
family Christmas today. His son's in the Ohio State marching band. He's a sousaphone player. I mean, he's gonna go dot the I one of these days. It's cool. We'll give him a pass.
Just once.
No, we'll give him passes for that. I mean, Troy gave him a pass at Carry Optics Nationals to go back home because it was his son's first time marching as an actual in the band player, right? So he left for like a day and a half from Carry Optics Nationals, went back to Ohio from Bama.
Yeah, Dan's
watched his son play, and then flew back down to Bama to finish up the match.
He told me he was thinking about he might have had to do that, and I'm like, "You're going to drive, aren't you?" He's like, "No, I'm going to fly." So he drove over to Atlanta, flew up, was home for a day. After the game, flew back down and drove over, and was only gone for a day from the range.
Yep.
Wow. And that was after he had his RM counselor. What is it called?
It was before. It was before the range master kind of review board that we do. There was actually 4 of us that went through that review board.
Yeah, 3 Dans and a Brad.
3 Dans and me, right? So shout out to those guys too. Not just Dan Click, but also Danny Minter and Danny Zlotnick. Those guys are cool dudes too.
Yeah, and then there was a couple more review boards. At High Cap at Racegun, wasn't there?
Probably. I mean, normally, that's kind of how they do it in the Range Master program, without giving away too much of the detail because it'll get boring for some people. They put people in the program. You apply in the end of the year. You start the program in like January, and if you can finish it within the first year, you don't have to. But if you can finish it in the first year, you'll go do your review at one of the nationals matches that are later in the year. So like Dan and I did Carry Optics Nationals this year. I guess it's not 2023 yet. I keep saying last year like it's 23, but it's only because I haven't shot any matches since like October. So
yeah, same here. Yeah, my season's been long over. It's the new year, baby. We're getting ready. That's for sure. But how long? Now I'm curious. How long did it take you to start the RM program to finish?
So I started in January of 22. And my review was at Carry Optics Nationals, which was in September.
Oh,
so about 9 months.
I heard Kyle Stevens, who's also an RM. He basically went through the program in like 3.5 months. That's because he is also. I don't think he does. He works from home, stuff like that. So he's got.
Kyle's one of those guys. He's a younger dude like me. I think he's still in his 30s. But yeah, he'd RM'd matches before as well, so he had some experience going into it. It's really similar with Russell Fortney, who got certified in 21. Russell, I think he when I talked to him, he said he completed all the paperwork and homework stuff that you got to do for it because it's pretty extensive. I think he said he finished it in like just a couple months, and then everything else was going and gaining experience.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Well,
Brad, you got lucky. You had multiple different experience opportunities, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of sought them out too, right? So I was like, when's my actual ride along going to be? That was at Area 6 last year, so it was early in the year. And then I had another opportunity at Ryan Rocks as well, because Gary didn't have a student. Gary Johnson being the normal range master at Ryan Rocks, he didn't have a student. So I asked him, hey, can I assist an RM at Ryan Rocks this year? He was kind enough to allow me to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gary's a great dude. I love Gary's dedication to the sport, and he's awesome.
And he's not as mean as he looks.
No, he's not as mean as he looks. Just bring him some coffee, and he looks extra happy.
Bring him some coffee, and for after hours, some rum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that we staff just go drink at the hotel after the match. So, I mean, if you all want to bring booze to after the match, we'd love you. Just find our hotel.
and we'll sit around and we'll bullshit and drink with you all night too. So
yeah,
yeah, they don't realize that. That's the fun part. Like, screw the shooting part or the match. Like, what's the drinking afterwards?
Yeah, and Ken and crew Area 5 this year were kind enough to give us what I affectionately refer to as my whiskey sippy cup.
Yes, I still that's in the match bag. That's in the match like box. It's like, yep, right in there.
Yeah, the hotel's great too. It's right next to a liquor store. If you run out, you can go get more. It's 2 minutes away from the range. So hung over in the morning.
Yeah.
I ripped my pants last year at Area 5. Went back to the hotel, changed my pants.
Wait, when did you rip your pant? I gotta hear this story because I didn't hear about this.
I went down on one of the low ports and I was wearing a pair of shorts that didn't have any give, and they gave.
Oh,
I feel your pain, Corey. We're both big dudes, right? So it happens.
It does happen. I know now to wear pants that have a little bit of elastic in them, so that way when you go down on a low port, they don't rip out. They just stretch.
Right. Yeah. And then I learned about one of these. If anyone's watching the video format, it's one of these babies. 15 stogies in here. Don't judge me because there's not that many in here, but it's what it can fit.
I wonder where you learned about it from.
I know, right? I mean, if you're gonna buy the 5, just get the 15, y'all.
Even better, get the Hunter's HD Gold box for your glasses. Get 2 of them, one for stogies and one for glasses.
That's brilliant.
Oh, that is a good idea.
That's what I've got.
Yeah. See, I do the 15 and a 5, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm like that weirdo on the range who's like smoking stogies all day long every day.
Yeah.
Right?
See. Yeah. But see, don't judge me on my cutter because I just had to get one of those cheap
dude, I'm gonna have to get you a good cutter now.
I mean, I need to get a good cutter. That's the sad part. But I need more stogies, and luckily there's a decent cigar shop in town. So
I'll bring you some next match we're together at too.
Cigar bids. Go on cigar bids.
Cigar bid is good, yeah.
It's just kind of addicting. You go in to buy like one lot, and you end up with 15 lots, and now you need a tubador to store all your cigars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, I probably got like 350 sticks in my humidors over here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's pretty baller. But I guess we should start talking about this match before we just get derailed and no one's like, what the fuck these motherfuckers talking about all day?
Yeah, no shit. We've been talking about all sorts of other matches and other shit. Let's get on it.
Yeah. So, Corey, you're kind of the details guy. When is the Buckeye Blast for anyone needs that top level information?
That's a great question. Buckeye Blast is the first weekend of May in 2023, which the dates would be May 4th through the 7th.
So great time. It's right before Area 6, right?
Yeah, weekend before Area 6, weekend after the
Kentucky
low cap.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm going to be busy for 3 weeks in a row since I'm range mastered all 3 of those. It's going to be fun.
No one tell Brad's work that he's not working those 3 weeks, though.
Oh, they know.
Yep. Well, at least you can work 2 days a week, right, from home, and then get on the road and get to where you
can work. I can work from anywhere in the world, so I'm good to go.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty freaking. So we got 4th through the 6th, right, Corey?
Yeah, 4th through the 7th.
Oh, 7th. Yeah, because you're doing, which is I think is interesting. Everyone gets 2 half days, so really 2 full days of shooting, but you're only shooting half a day.
Right. So it's gonna be different from past years. 13 stages plus chronograph, shot in 2 half-day formats. So the staff are going to shoot Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. Competitors have an option between Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's going to be gone by lunchtime on Sunday. So,
see, that's actually really nice. So that's something that was similar to how we did Area 6 last year. They had a full day and half day. So you had options where you can do,
Yeah, there's going to be 2 squads right now that are set up as full days just for those people that can't do the half days for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a good option.
Keep it small. 2 squads right now.
Yeah, it was really nice though, because I drove to North Carolina for the match, right? And it was Sunday afternoon. We were done. Scores were in. I mean, the range was mostly torn down before most people would have been finished shooting on a Sunday, right? So it was really good to be able to get in the car and hightail it out of there and actually get home on Sunday in a decent time.
Mm-hmm. In Area 6, that was in Rowan, right?
So Salisbury, North Carolina. It's going to be the same place. Yeah, Rowan County. Practical Shooters, I think, is the name of the range down there. It's the same place this year. It was there in 20 and 21. I think no, there's 21, 22, and also 23 are all 3 there, and nice facility for that. But I think that's one of the big things about Buckeye, speaking of facilities, that we got going for us this year at Cardinal Shooting Center there in Marengo is super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the new range is 25 minutes north of Columbus. So there's tons of stuff to do, plenty of hotels. So bring your families. There's stuff to do in Columbus. There's the zoo, COSI, all that good stuff. There's a campground on the range, so those people that like to camp, you can camp right there. You can literally, there's hookups, like you can see the campground from the range.
Yep.
And it's right off of 71, so it's super easy to get to. The only downside is that there's only 21 bays. So
yeah, just only, right? Yeah. Only 21 bays.
It's a small range, 21 bays. No, just kidding. It's gonna be a great match. Great facility. We've got 2 nationals there next year too. So.
And from what I'm hearing, there's a plan to expand still, right?
There's definitely. So we just expanded. Over this year, we've had 12 bays. We just expanded and added another 9. So there's a total of 21 usable pistol like practical shooting bays. Plus, there's another 10 or 15. Concrete walled bays that you can shoot like straight down the lane for. So even at nationals, there's going to be plenty of space to do like warm-ups and stuff like that over in the other bays. And we don't have any restrictions on when we have to start shooting or when we have to stop shooting. So we can get there and shoot early. So we're starting at 8 o'clock for Buckeye, and it's also going to be staff reset.
That's
so another thing we're borrowing from Area 6. We're short on a couple staff members, but we're close.
Oh yeah, but we got plenty of time.
5 months out, yeah.
Everyone who decides like, oh, I want to work the match now instead of shoot it, no. And then there's a lot of staff who don't even shoot matches. Like a lot of the older guys, they just come and work your match, like Paul or Jay Warden. They're just like, they'll be there.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, both will be there, of course. So Paul's going to be the other range master along with me. And then Jay Warden, he's doing chronograph, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the original plan was Paul and Jay were going to work chrono together because they're the chrono homies.
They are. I mean, they did a couple nationals matches last year, and Jay, he was actually my mentor for the RM program. He knows chronograph, backwards, forwards, upside down, reverse. He knows that job. So everybody going through chronograph, they're going to get a really good experience.
Yes, not as great because our friend Bob is no longer here with us to tell us stories.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bob Clift. I'm going to miss that guy.
Yeah.
Chronograph's a kind of a cool job, though. So I worked at Ryan Rocks last year, and it's interesting to go through and actually read the rules for not just for the RO class or the CRO class, but read the rules to actually learn what they mean. And I know Brad, you went through it last year too.
Yeah, I had to.
Well, yeah,
right?
You went through it at Kentucky.
Yep. Yeah, which I'm going to be repeating that at the Kentucky match this year. I'm going to be chrono at Kentucky again.
You and Sven?
I don't know. It's actually going to be me and Hernandez.
Oh God.
Yeah. That'll be
pretty. Yeah, but that's the sectional, right?
Yeah, it's a Kentucky sectional a little bit later in the year that I'll be at as chrono officer.
Yeah, that's gonna be freaking awesome. But yeah, staff reset. So you've got mostly enough staff or participants to do the staff reset. So you're still looking for some people. So it seems like you're gonna have at least 3 range officers on each bay, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
plus
so that's
others.
The plan is to have 3 range officers, about 4 to 5 total staff members per bay. Depending on, long courses, we're going to put more staff members. If it's just a short course, it's no need to put 5 staff members to.
Yeah, maybe put a helper there along with them. Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, so there's an advantage to staff reset that a lot of people probably don't think of. And that's, you don't get pre-pasted targets like you would when competitors are pasting. Not that competitors try to do that, right? I don't think that they're out to cheat or anything like that. That's absolutely not the case, but it happens, right? I've done it. I'm sure you guys have probably done it. right? It's like, yeah, I thought that target was scored. I pasted it. ROs didn't see it, right? Staff reset helps with that, right? So the guys who are resetting the targets, they get in a groove, just like we do as range officers, right? And they follow the flow of the stage, and everything gets reset. As an example, at Area 6 last year, we had 0 instances of pre-pasted targets because it was staff reset, right? So that has not just the advantage of not having the pre-pasted targets, but that reduces the number of reshoots you have to have for those sort of things. It makes the match flow a lot faster. The unfortunate part for a lot of competitors is that it could raise their match fees, right? So I think that's one thing you'll see that's maybe a little bit different this year. I think the match fee is slightly higher than it was in years past.
Yeah, so we're at 200.
Okay.
But realistically, looking in comparison to other matches around the area, we're not significantly higher than the rest.
No, I don't think so.
Most are 150 to 175 for a level 2 match, and then area matches are going to be 250-ish, and then of course nationals is nationals. That's in the 300 plus range, right?
Well, and even Area 2 is higher than nationals. Like Area 2 is an exorbitant amount of money, and I don't even think it's staff reset.
Well, that's Phoenix though. I mean, those guys, they're crazy out there. They have tons and tons of shooters, so they have a lot of things to take care of, right? There's a huge range, and in the middle of the desert there in Arizona.
Well, I guess this is a decent sideway question. So you typically at Area 2, you'll see 1 or 2 classifiers in the match, right? What's your opinion on putting a classifier in a level 2 or above match?
I've seen it. And this is just my opinion. To me, it's kind of a cop out, right? Like you couldn't design a stage to fit in that space that would be fun and challenging. So you put a classifier in. On the other hand, you do have folks who like shooting classifiers, and they might want to see it at a level 2. You're not typically going to see them at a level 3. You'll see the ones that are, possible new classifiers at nationals. They've been doing that for a few years now, where they add, what end up turning into classifiers at nationals, but they start out as regular stages, right? I mean, if you have to, and you have a really, if you're space constrained, or you have, lack of equipment or something like that, and you want to put classifiers in, by all means, go ahead and do it, right? But, for me as a shooter, this is not me as a range official, but for me as a shooter, I would much rather see a nice short course or speed shoot or something in one of those little bays where you would normally put a classifier.
Yeah, I think coming from the match, I'm not the match director for Buckeye, but I'm helping the team with stages and stuff like that. Coming from our perspective and my perspective as a range official and someone who does some stage design, you can test things by putting stages out. So put stages on the ground. We were talking about this a little earlier. If you have hallways or ports that are low ports, that you're testing a skill. I don't feel as though the classifiers do a great job of testing a well-rounded skill set. They test one specific thing. So to put a classifier in a major is really you're leaving something on the table where you could be testing multiple different skills in one stage or one bay.
Yeah, I agree with that in general, although I do have to say some of the newer classifiers from the last couple of years, they do a better job of testing more skills. Sure. They at least have some like shooting on the move and multiple positions and those sort of things, which is really good. But yeah, some of those older shot out classifiers that we've got, I mean, putting them in a level 2 or higher match it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see El Prez at Buckeye Blast. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't see El Prez much of anywhere at this point, because that thing's shot out to hell.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a side match of El Prez.
That would be kind of fun, doing a side match or like a shoot off or something like that. Sort of like they did at Karyoptics Nationals last year, where fastest person to put, however many alphas in the target was one who won. I think that Isaac Lockwood won that one. That dude is amazing.
Yeah, he walked away with some serious cash. I mean, like, we don't walk away with cash anymore. Usually you just go into more debt for this crap, but he came out ahead.
One thing to keep in mind that's kind of a cool part about the staff reset too, is once you're done shooting the stage, there's nothing that's really tying you to that stage other than, the camaraderie of being with the squad. But if you want to go and talk to Bryant with Hunters HD Gold, or talk to Bill Duda, you can walk away from the stage if you're not resetting it. And as long as you're on your stage for the next, for your next stage when you're up, you're good to go. So I think that helps our sponsors. And if we do a side match, for example, that'll allow people to sneak away and go chit chat with sponsors and shoot that side match while they're out on the range.
Has Brian confirmed if he's going to be a Buckeye?
Not 100%, but Brian is definitely a stage sponsor.
Oh, well, that's fabulous. That's the good part about it. Brian's too awesome.
Oh, yeah, he sponsors like every match on the planet at this point, right? And he's kind of a staple at least all the major matches I've been to for the last couple of years. Super cool dude. I mean, and if you guys haven't seen, I doubt there's many people who listen to your podcast who haven't seen Hunters HD Gold. They're good products too. So.
Now that I've tried the rubies, I think I like the rubies more than the golds, but that's just me.
I've got a pair of both, and it depends on the weather. It depends on a bunch of things. Like if it's an overcast day, I'm going to wear the golds, but if it's a super bright day, especially shooting a dot, rubies really make the red dot pop.
Yeah, Brad, do you still know how those bumpy things work?
Yeah, man. That's home for me.
Yeah, that's I don't do those bumpy things.
I mean, I love shooting a dot gun. Don't get me wrong. I shot open for several years, and I of course still got my open guns, and it is by far probably the most fun division. But there's just something about
PCC is really fun too.
Okay.
That's
just like your opinion, man. But yeah, I mean, I single stack is home for me. I like the skinny gun. I like low cap. Adds another element of skill that you need in order to complete the stages and stuff with reloads and moving a little bit differently than you would with a high capacity gun.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if we mentioned this, but with the 13 stages, you're going to figure out, try to get the most stages from both Ohio sections, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've been doing for the Buckeye Blast for several years. The previous match director, Kevin Sanders, lovely guy. He's a great MD. But I think he was getting a little burnout, right? And that's what he would do is he would, pull all the clubs in Ohio and say, hey, send me some stage designs. Hope, preferably new ones, of course. And, we'll pull the best stages from each of the sections, and they didn't really do it by section. They just basically did it by club in Ohio. And for the last several years, he's done it that way. I see no reason to change that because it's worked really well. We've had some great stages at the Buckeye Blast for the last several years.
The big thing is we've all been to those majors and definitely the club matches where every stage looks the same or feels the same because there's one stage designer that's doing the whole match, and they've got their flair, and their flair is awesome.
Yep.
But if you bring in 5 different stage designers or even 3 different stage designers for 13 stages, now you've got a variety that we're able to put down on the ground. And what Dan's skill and Brad's and mine and Paul's skill becomes is making sure that we're not testing the same skill too many times. So if Brad submits a couple stages and I submit a couple stages, we might be testing the same skill, but then we hand choose and say, okay, Brad's stage on this makes most sense. My stage over here makes the most sense based on a bunch of different things, but based on stage construction within the bay, what skills we're testing, because you don't want to see weak hand, strong hand every single stage. But you want to see it once at a major.
Yeah, the same thing with low ports, right? I mean, you get a stage with a low port or a couple with a low port, in a row, and people are just like, okay, this is ridiculous, right? Yeah. Doing it once, okay, maybe twice for a big match where you got 15 to 20 stages. Yeah, okay, I can see that. But doing it all the time wouldn't make a lot of sense. Same thing with stages that people like to call track meets, right? Where you have to do a lot of running, right? Remember, it's a shooting sport, right? Running is definitely a part of what we would have to do sometimes, but you shouldn't be testing that skill on every single stage. The other thing we do, just to kind of mention this, right, is we want to make sure that the stages that get submitted are safe. make sure they are within the rules. Putting my RM hat on now, right? We do a lot of debugging beforehand, right? So sometimes they don't make a lot of sense, and either we'll change things or we'll say, hey, let's not use this stage just because of these couple of things. We'll either have to completely change it, away from the stage designer's original intent, which kind of defeats the purpose of having that stage designer do it, or there'll be something that we realize as that top level range official that, hey, this is not something that we want to have because it might cause it might be a safety issue, or it might be a match flow issue even, right? So making sure the stages are in the right spot on the range is really important as well.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into match design and construction before we even get out on the range. We're looking at staffing right now. We're looking at sponsors right now. We're looking at the match opening in the next week. And then that's just right now. In a month from now, we're going to be looking at stage design and squatting and making sure that all that stuff looks good. So, there's so many different moving parts. And Alex, you're seeing it now too, as match director for Michigan section. It's kind of eye-opening.
Yeah, and a lot of the basic club members or shooters don't understand what it takes to go and pick a date for a match or how to get it on the calendar. There's so many more moving parts than I like this weekend. We'll pick this one. No, you got to see if it's okay. You got to figure out if it's going to work at your club, and then you got to get it probably approved by a board because dates are important and shotgunners love to ruin your day. Then other clubs in your section, you typically probably want to run it on your weekend that you're supposed to run in your section, depending on your bylaws. Like in the Michigan section, like if you have to have a match on a weekend that's not your club's weekend that you normally shoot, you need to ask permission from the other clubs on that weekend.
Or at least let them know, right? Say, hey, we're gonna do this, and that's how it's worked for the Buckeye Blast for the last several years, right? Mm-hmm. It started off being Memorial Day weekend, right? It was always Memorial Day weekend, and that was pretty safe to not interfere with other matches that were going on, right? And that's changed a little bit for other reasons, right? You mentioned club politics, for lack of a better term, coming in, right? There's also I've seen since I started shooting, just the number of matches that are available to shoot. Level 2 matches have just exploded over the last 5 years.
And monthly. Right? Realistically,
and monthly matches too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here in Ohio, we're kind of a hotbed for practical shooting. We have tons of clubs in Ohio. We're split up into 2 sections in the state, right? Which mm-hmm. Most of the states are their own section. Like Kentucky, for instance, they're just one section, right? We have 2 in Ohio. I'm the South section coordinator as well, and we have like 5 clubs in the South section, right? That we like to coordinate. It's one of the reasons that and many other things, we haven't done a South section match yet, right? Our clubs are a little bit smaller than a couple of those in the North section, right? Because North has Briar Rabbit, which is where Buckeye Blast has been for the last several years. Crooked Creek up in the north there, outside of Cleveland, which is a nice facility where the Battle for the North Coast is. They're big enough; they can actually handle all of the logistics that are necessary for a level 2 match. Whereas the clubs that we have in the South section, there's always at least one aspect of the facility that you need that we can't necessarily accommodate for a big match, right? Like parking, right? Yeah. That's one thing that luckily at Cardinal, parking is not going to be an issue at all, right? There's plenty of spots.
More parking, they make more parking.
Well, right. So that's the other thing. But yeah, that's the other thing. Is just the amount of time and effort and investment that goes into the facility there at Cardinal is really, really good. Just the fact that we can go from not having a club there at all a couple of years ago to now being able to host nationals says a lot about the owners of the facility and what they want to put into the sport.
Yeah, the first match was actually a Steel Challenge match there in September of 21. Was the first ever match in like USPSA Steel Challenge arena. And now they do they do Scholastic Steel there. They do other things there, and obviously a ton of shotgun stuff. But the
Yeah,
first
Scholastic
action game-
Clays is there. Yeah,
Right.
the big national Scholastic Clays has been there. I mean, they have 52 trap fields. So
they've got
It's-
sporting clays, they've got trap, they've got skeet, they've got everything.
They've got camping. Don't forget the camping, because
Yeah, camping.
you know Walt's gonna bring his camper down there instead. He ain't gonna go
Oh,
that
yeah,
far.
oh, he would be silly not to.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
There's nothing better than staying on the range.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is true.
Except for maybe going back to the match hotel and drinking whiskey with the ROs.
Yeah.
When you're done shooting.
A fair point.
Yeah.
I was out at a PCC match a couple years ago, back in 21 or 20, and the match had a hotel on the range. So they put up, it's like a little bunkhouse, and it was awesome because you needed to be, call time was 7 o'clock, wake up at 6:45, walk downstairs, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And sit out and drink whiskey and smoke cigars on the front patio.
Yeah. For folks familiar with Rockcastle Shooting Center, right? That was very similar. Rockcastle has a hotel right there as well that you can stay at. It's right by the range. So it's really, really nice to be able to not have to, wake up in your uncomfortable hotel room 2 hours before you have to be at the range just to be able to get to the range on time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or driving through the back hills of Kentucky trying to find the turn and not hit the dogs that are always in the road.
Oh, you must be talking about getting the bluegrass.
Leif, you got some dogs to clean up, buddy.
Oh, so yeah, and I don't think that's really Leif's problem.
No, it's definitely not Leif's problem. He's got enough problems.
I mean, it's Kentucky. It's in the hills around Lexington. It's horse country, right? So it's spread out a lot. So the horses have places to graze and run. So yeah, I don't fault the club there because that club is amazing.
Not at all. That's by far one of my favorite clubs to go to. It's such a beautiful piece of property. It's a conservation club that shoots on it, and they've got some huge number of acres, and it's a gorgeous piece of property and a gorgeous area to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still haven't made it down to Kentucky, but I'm gonna get down there maybe this year. It all depends. My freaking schedule's
Kentucky Lowcat Classic, bro. Come shoot like a production gun or something.
Wait, I don't have one of those.
Alex doesn't
have
a dot on it.
Yeah, that is true, Corey. I don't. No, I've got a carry gun that doesn't have a dot on it yet.
Yeah, just take the dot off your carry optics gun. It'll be fine.
I don't have irons on it. There's a problem.
You could shoot limited 10 with his open gun without the dot on it. Just take the dot on it, put some glue on some sights.
Some bumpy sights.
I mean, if you want to shoot another division, just let me know. I can let you borrow something. I've got guns for every division except for PCC and revolver.
And don't worry, I've got PCCs.
Oh, I thought you said you're gonna have revolver. But I mean, some people, some people would how can this level 2 match justify it? So we've got 13 stages and 2 half days with staff reset. With staff reset comes more staff, aka we got to pay for that shit. So competitors are gonna have to pay up a little more than normal, but you get a better match experience, long as the matches ran well, and that's the match facilitators. I wouldn't say problem, but they have to figure that out. But
it is our problem, right?
Yeah.
Us being the match facilitator. I mean, Corey's going to end up doing stats like he always does. I'm one of the range masters, and with Dan, who also is a range master, but is the match director, we have a vested interest in making sure the match goes well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're there to make sure that the competitors have a fun time, to make sure things flow well, to make sure the match goes off without a hitch, right? I mean, my primary concern as range master, of course, is safety. Right. But if we have all the safety stuff nailed down, then I've got a team that I'm working with, right? Not that I'm the one in charge, but the team that we're working with, we know each other pretty well. We worked a bunch of matches together. And we kind of know the things that we need to do to get the stuff done to make sure the competitors have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, the 2 half day thing, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but that's just me personally. Right. Mm-hmm. I think it could go really well. Because thinking about some of the bigger matches I've been to where you've got 13, 15, 17 stages in the match, right, and trying to shoot it all in one day, right? That's painful. Physically painful, literally for a lot of us, right? So splitting things up, gives you that little bit of rest that you need between some of the stages. Since it's 13 plus chrono, that's essentially 7 stops a day, right? Which that's a pretty good number. I think for
it's actually going to be 6 stops. There's going to be a 2
double
bays,
bay,
one
2 double
one
bays,
with chronograph, and it might not even be a double bay. but it's going to be a double time slot, like a 2 stages in 1 time slot.
Oh, so like you have a stage, then go immediately to chrono after you're done with that stage.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to how we do it at nationals.
Exactly.
At the nationals that have been down in Talladega, we had double bays at every match I've been to down there.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, it's not worth going to nationals for 14, 15 stages.
Mm-hmm.
And plus they do 3 half days. So it's
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because if you look in the rule book at the number of stages that are supposed to be at a different level of matches, right? I think nationals says it's supposed to be like 6 or 8, something like that. It's not that many, and we've just gone way far beyond what was originally conceived when those rules were written. Right.
But I mean, when there are club matches that are putting on 9 stages, our November.
That's what Cardinal.
Match,
that's what Cardinal does, right?
Yeah. I mean, we put 9 stages on the ground for November. There's some months where we can't, just due to other commitments on the range, but for November, we put 9 stages down. That was more than what would be required at a nationals. Why would someone drive down to Talladega to go shoot 6 stages when I put 9 stages down for a quarter, for not even?
Oh yeah, I totally get that, and I agree. Right. It's just we've been pushing the as a sport, right? We've been pushing the envelope with an amount that we shoot at these matches, right? And I think it's good to kind of give a little bit of rest time between 2 days of shooting or 2 half days of shooting for competitors. Now they're going to be more money out of pocket. I can't say they're not going to be, right? Because it means another night at a hotel if they have to stay in a hotel. It means a little bit more driving for them, those sort of things, right? So yeah, they're going to be out a little bit more money.
Theoretically, and most of your major competitors are going to stay in a hotel on the night before the match, and then obviously the night in between the 2 days. But theoretically, if you're from, say, Cleveland or Cincinnati, Brad, you could drive up on, say you're shooting Friday afternoon, Saturday morning. You could drive up Friday morning, go out, walk stages, shoot Friday afternoon, get a hotel room, shoot Saturday, and then jet after you're done on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, my drive from Cincinnati is about 2.5 hours, right. So I could easily do that. Same thing for folks from the Cleveland area, right? It's going to be about the same distance.
So anyone in Ohio could do that. Easily.
Yeah, anyone in Ohio can do that for sure. It's the folks from outside of Ohio that are going to have a little bit more consternation, I'll say.
The people that are really serious about competing want to be there the day before to walk stages, and they want to visualize their stages at night and all that stuff. That's their decision. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I mean, I do it when I'm shooting and I'm being serious about it. I want to go out and walk stages ahead of time. Oh yeah. But that's the trade-off, is that you're going to get an extra night of hotel rooms.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, I'm like, I know there's going to be people who complain about it. Right? There's going to be people who say, "Hey, 2 half days, why is it that way?" I've actually seen a couple folks talking about it on
Me too.
the book face already, right? But yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that, guys. It's not just because we want you to have to spend more money. It's because we understand that this sport can be very demanding, right? And for some people, they like to have that rest time. And from a logistics standpoint, it helps us run the match in a way that makes sense for us. Mm-hmm. So thinking about things like the range layout, right? Because the 2 sets of bays, you have the 12 main bays and then the 9 new ones, right? They're split a little bit. There's a little bit of distance between them. Not a lot. I mean, it's still walkable, but there's a little bit of distance between them. And then, wanting to get out on Sunday, afternoon, midday, and as opposed to 5 or 6 o'clock, giving folks time to actually have like an award ceremony and that sort of thing, right? I don't know if Dan's decided if we're going to do an actual award ceremony or not, Corey, but it's something we haven't seen at Buckeye for a few years.
Right. I mean, I think whether we do a formal like awards ceremony or not is up in the air yet, but I think we're definitely planning on having something there.
An after party.
It's probably, realistically, it's probably more likely to have some awards given out, but it'll be, because Bobby Q's going to be there. So Forgot about
Well,
that.
we're gonna have good food.
We're gonna have
All
good
right.
food, so might as well stick around on Sunday, eat lunch because Bobby's awesome, and then that'll give us some time to tabulate the scores, and give the hour that we need to give for the arbitration period,
Arbitration, yeah.
and then we'll sit down and pass out awards.
Yeah. Speaking about the
enjoy
arbitration
when we have
period,
that.
I haven't decided how I want to do the arbitration period for this yet. So normally it's an hour. That can be changed, but I'm not sure if I want to do that yet. I'll talk to Dan and Paul and see. But so that's actually a good thing, right? That would be finishing early on Sunday, right? Because then if we have that hour, then folks can even hang around for an hour. They're not going to feel like they have to leave and not have say into what the scores look like. Or, you know, normally at a lot of level 2 matches, what we do is we, you know, take a vote from the competitors who are still present to see if they want to waive that hour, right? Maybe somebody who would have waived the hour left because they had to get home. Now they're going to have the time and they don't have to do that, right? So they'll be able to say, hey, no, I don't want to do it, right?
Right. Now, Corey, do you have at the range, have the facilities to do paperless scoring?
Yeah, so
well, paperless backup, I'm sorry.
We've got whole range Wi-Fi. You know, confirm that here in the spring, but that's one thing that Cardinal has told us that they are willing to help us with is whole range Wi-Fi, and they've already got pieces and parts of that in place. And then we do have printers that we're planning on possibly using. It's kind of an up in the air. We like the idea after working nationals the last couple of years, and they've used printers and we've used printers at other matches locally. We kind of like the idea of giving the shooter a print off of what they did. Now, whether we print 2 copies, one for the match or not, that's kind of up in the air. But we like the idea of giving that print off to the shooter to say, okay, hey, this is how you did, because it also speeds up the conversation. People don't walk back up to you afterwards and say, hey, what was my hit factor again? How many alphas did I get?
Yeah, you don't get.
Well, let's be fair here. They still do that.
They still do that, but you then point to their slip in their hand and say, hey, what? I don't know. What did you get?
Did you look at it? I mean, did you just hit the freaking button?
So I think that is a way to help. It's all a match flow thing. Printers are way better than written down paper backups.
Yeah, it saves tons of time.
Oh yeah. Because then you can actually have like say you had 3 staff workers, range officials. One of them's not worried about a paper backup and getting drawn away. They can be focused on the stage or what their task is as that third man.
So that's actually a really good point for folks who may not have been a range official before. If you have 3 people on a stage, that's like the bare minimum for me. Being a range master, I want at least 3 on every single stage because each one of them is going to have different responsibilities while there's a competitor who's shooting, right? Of course, you got the guy with the brick. He takes time, watch his finger, that kind of thing. You got an offside, maybe 2 offside ROs. They're going to be watching other things like foot faults and those sort of things. Not that we're trying to catch people doing stuff, right? Because that would just be stupid. But
it needs to be safe and fair.
Yep.
It needs to be safe and fair, right? Exactly. We have rules for a reason, right? Is to make sure that everybody gets the same challenge, right? But making sure that you can clear the range official's headspace, right, from having to worry about writing a bunch of stuff down, that's an amazing benefit for those range officials because the 3 of us, we've all been ROs at matches, right? Some bigger than others, and in every case, you're not just physically exhausted at the end of the day, you're mentally exhausted too, right? And that's the reason we drink, right? We go back to the hotel and we drink just to kind of clear our minds and get ready for the next day.
Well, then tack on the fact that it's 90 degrees outside and you're on the verge of heat stroke too. But that's beside the point.
Yep.
That just means you need to drink more water, Corey.
Well, that's fair.
Yep. But hopefully in May we don't need to worry about 90-degree heat. Hopefully it'll be nice, like 70 degrees.
I don't know, man. It's Ohio. You never know.
Ohio. Just wait 5 minutes and it'll change.
A week ago it was in the 50s, and Thursday night into Friday it got into like -10. So
right.
Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully it won't be -10. Hopefully it won't be 90. I keep telling Dan to put in the reservations with Mother Nature. He's had some trouble getting a hold of her.
Thanks everybody for stopping some way through this episode of the 2023 Buckeye Blast informational video because it's awesome. I'm sitting down with my buddy Corey and Brad
But I need to plug the sponsors. Like we've got Go Fast Don't Suck. Like I say in the beginning of every podcast, you need to go check them out. GoFastDon'tSuck.net. They're great supporters of the sport and me. Can't forget, run over to Hunter's HD Gold and tell Brian thank you for all what he does for the sport, and go buy some glasses because you kind of need them. But anyway, if you see them in a match, try them out, and you're gonna pay for them. But anyway, they're awesome. Don't forget, also go to dominatedefense.com to get the best belt in the business. It's gonna last 4 to 5 times longer than any double alpha premium belt. It's just my words because that's my experience. Then we've also got divtechshop.com or divtech, making the awesome 3D printed magnets that I use on my competition rigs. So they're awesome, 3D printed and affordable, and it's a small guy in the sport doing what he loves. So there's that. Check them out. Don't forget, run over to rangepanda.com. Eric Steiner and Gianni Giordano, great shooters in the sport, also very supportive. Make sure you go follow them on their social medias. Share their posts, help them grow so they can do bigger and better things. Can't forget about them. Are also my friends Tony and Jackie over at the Laugh and Load podcast, or the Pew Time podcast over at Laugh and Load. Got them awesome merch. They've got my official Manny Talks Shooting shirt. They've got their AFT agent shirt, which is a favorite of mine, plus the Supreme Division shirts, aka only shoot open, only division shirt, because that's what you need. And hats are coming soon, I'm being told. So get a hat if they're available now. We can't forget TimHeronShooting.com, the guy who kind of got me started on the planet. So go check out TimHeronShooting.com. Get on a class schedule near you because he's filling up quick. Don't forget, Targets USA is the finest steel targetry on the planet. I say it, Steve Anderson says it because it's true. Jason makes phenomenal products, affordable, transportable, and does what you need to do. You don't have to reset it if you don't want. You can reset the rhinos if you want. I don't care. It's great for a training tool, especially if you're by yourself. But anyway, go check TargetsUSA.com. Tell him Manny sent you as well. Anyway, if any buy anything from any of these guys, tell him Manny sent you. Just knows that they're coming from me, and you guys are supporting them. So that's what I appreciate a hell of a lot. Don't forget Chile Custom Gunworks. They're the title sponsor of the Michigan sectional this year, Area 5, and they're also a stage sponsor for many other matches, including the Buckeye Blast. So go check them out. I think that's all. Is that everyone for me? I think so. I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but got a million things running through my brain now, but it's okay. But as we mentioned, we talked about GX products with Leif. We've got Southern Bobby Q. He's awesome too. So go check all these awesome people out too. Whoever we mentioned in the show, check them out. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome time. Go see you at the Buckeye Blast. This episode comes out and the match registration will be open. So stop now, pause the show, go register, go get signed up. It's gonna be an awesome match. But anyway, let's get back to this awesome conversation with my friends Corey and Brad about the Buckeye Blast. Yeah, we're gonna have prime rib one night, right?
Staff, that's the plan.
Yes.
He keeps telling me about a prime rib carving station.
Yes.
Is Bobby going to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in.
All right.
Yeah. And I won't say no ham, but not ham every day. Okay.
Oh, I love you. Yeah, I
guarantees, but
I mean, so that's the thing. The first day was great. We had options, but then every other day.
And realistically, the second day was fine too, because great, it's only ham. That's fine. But then the third day was
maybe
ham,
tomorrow will be something other than ham.
And then the fifth day, I got hamburgers because I was sick of ham sandwiches.
I forgot
you went over to McDonald's, didn't you?
Yeah.
But which was 3 minutes from the range, mind you, which is awesome.
The funny part was I looked at Dan and said, "Hey, do you want Subway?"
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're on the range from Tuesday all the way to Sunday. Like that's a long time to be eating ham sandwiches.
It's a lot of ham.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. Think about all the freaking lunch meat. Now, I mean, I've been trying to kick this idea around about not having to stop for lunch, but I mean, I don't think it's ever, you're ever going to get away from truly stopping for lunch at any match.
Well, I don't know, man. Staff reset kind of helps with that situation a little bit.
Yeah, you could do 10 stages in a morning. I mean, that's what Leif's doing down for the classic for the the single stack classic.
So you're gonna have
it's half days only.
You're gonna have flights, right? So 4 flights. Because you'd have them AM, PM, AM, PM.
Well, right. So that's another advantage, right? There doesn't really have to be a stop for lunch when we're doing AM, PM flights, right? So once the competitors for the morning are done, they can go do whatever the heck they're going to do.
Right. You just got to feed the staff at that point.
Oh, you got to feed the staff, and there are those all-day competitors, right? But having things split at the middle of the day helps things out. That's why we do it that way at nationals, right? You have 2 two separate flights that shoot over 3 days, and they're either, morning, morning, or afternoon, morning, afternoon. And it gives them the time to go do the things that they want to do. That's part of the reason we're doing staff reset. It's a part of the reason that we're doing the 2 half-day format as well, because it'll make things all around better. There'll be more availability to do the things you want to do.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Corey, are you guys going to work on having like a sponsor row or like a dedicated stop for like vendor area?
The vendor area, just because of timing and match flow, but because of staff reset and the fact that we're only doing half-day format, there'll be plenty of time to stop at the vendors. Either, if you're shooting Saturday afternoon, Sunday, you can stop either Saturday morning or any time, because you can walk away from your squad after you shoot the stage. You could walk away and go chit chat with Leif or Brian.
Yeah.
And as far as the vendor row, that's really dependent on who wants to come. So we've talked to Brian. I know Brian is interested. I don't know whether he's put together his calendar yet or not. Leif is planning on being there. So it's just a matter of, if there's a vendor row, we're going to make sure that it's convenient. It's located conveniently so that people can go talk to our vendors. Mm-hmm. We'd love to have as many vendors out there as possible, but if it doesn't make sense for them, I'm not going to force them to come.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it depends on where they're at, where they're located. I know, like even Corey Shields Max, 2 weekends or the weekend prior to Buckeye, their title sponsor ain't going to be there because all the way down from Florida or whatever. Yeah.
So Da Vinci's a sponsor of our match too. My guess is he probably won't be there. But Corey will be, and Corey's planning on setting up some sort of booth. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't set up a booth, I'm going to make him set up a booth.
But I still want him to be the drink station. The drink station sponsor is like the best idea ever.
That's just a really good idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, having a drink station, somebody sponsor, beverages for folks. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, Corey.
Like to say, Shields and Da Vinci are going to be the PCC division sponsor. So whether they're, my guess is Da Vinci won't be there. If they are able to come up, great. But my guess is they'll only come up for one if they do come up.
Mm-hmm. Have you figured out a title sponsor yet?
We're still working on that. But Dan's got some irons in the fire on that one.
So not Click Consulting?
No, Click Consulting is not going to be a title sponsor.
Hey, why don't you give Duda a call, see if Go Fast Don't Suck wants to come over?
I've been in touch with them. But
okay, good.
Alex, if you wouldn't mind greasing some wheels there, that would be great.
I mean, I got a hold of him anyway. So I mean, I think he somewhat listens to these, probably just to laugh at my ass as I talk on the internet. But
make memes out of Manny.
He hasn't yet, and I'm sad. Like, I want to be a meme.
Well, maybe that's why he hasn't done it, because he wants to make you sad.
I mean, no, it's making me sad. Yeah, and it sucks. But I can talk to Bill. I got to talk to Bill about so much other shit anyway as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, trophies, going to do trophies, plaques, cups,
That's something that really hasn't been decided yet, or at least hasn't been communicated to me.
Beer bongs.
If you can get a hold of Dan, maybe you should convince him to do something weird.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, the other option we have is we could commit to something now and make Dan do it since he didn't show up.
That's fair. I tried to get Dan. Dan's at home celebrating Christmas with his family. He said his dad is there. I said, that's great, get him on. And he said no. So I mean, we could definitely commit to something crazy like beer bongs.
I mean, maybe a staff gifts, right? Staff give beer bongs, but I mean, I don't know. That whiskey cup was really good last year. Oh, is there going to be a prize table? I guess I'm going to totally diverge this and go, is there going to be a prize table for competitors to make them feel special?
There will definitely be prizes for competitors. Not exactly sure what that looks like quite yet, but there will definitely be prizes for competitors. We know that competitors want to walk away with something.
Stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's like a gift card for a shield buffer, I mean, everyone wants it. That's the one part you're going to need to build that whole PCC because you don't have anything yet, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and Buckeye's always had prizes for competitors, but last several years it's been random draw, right? So, I would kind of like to get back to where prizes are awarded based on performance.
So we're also planning on doing some cash payout. So it's a matter that will definitely be on performance. So I think what the thought process is let's put some cash aside for performance, and then do some random draw prizes for everybody. So I mean, it's the hardest thing. You talk to somebody and they say, "Oh, I love when the good shooters all love when you do prize table walks like Nationals does, because they get their choice of anything on the prize table," and the regular everyday shooter complains about it.
Yeah, because they're stuck with some flashlight or some gizmo
something
that
they're never going to use, because the pro shooter walked up and grabbed the gun because, hey, they're the first ones that are through, and then they go and sell the gun.
Yeah, even before they leave, they sell that cert and it's gone.
Right. So I mean, we're going to try and do a balance of the two. We don't want to we want to make it fun, and the biggest thing is we want pro shooters to be at our match, because we think that draws other people too.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get an opportunity to say, "Hey, I shot with Nils"? Very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the location, the range is where it is. Carry Optics Nationals is a month later. People want to be out there because they want to see the range. They want to get familiar with, hey, this is a brand new place. Come out, shoot Buckeye, and then come back a month later, a little bit more than a month later, and shoot.
Right, and they can go back to their club. Instead of being a keyboard warrior, they can say, "Oh, I've been to Cardinal Shooting Center. It's an awesome facility. The old pictures don't do it justice. I mean, it was still a nice facility in the original pictures, but everyone complained about what the bays look like. But now they're not going to be like that. They're going to have the bet. You have all 21 bays to play with if you wanted, and they can really experience it for themselves and then decide if they're going to go to Nationals, because Carry Optics slots are already going out.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, as section coordinator here, I've already sent the slots out to folks here in the section.
Now, do you do that for your bylaws? What is it? You send them to the club, and then the club gets to decide, or you send them
to? Yeah. I send them to the club based on club activity, right? And then the match directors get to decide who they give them to.
Right.
We do the same thing in the north.
That's how we do it in Michigan as well. Like the section coordinator pushes them out to the clubs who on their activities. So
I think that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean and then there's still going to be slots for performances at level 2 and level 3 matches that people still get, like off the
right,
even above the section slots.
Yeah, I mean, you finish first in your class at your area match, and you're getting a slot to that nationals, right? So it's a pretty cool deal, I think. And of course, I as a section coordinator, I don't reserve one for myself either. I don't want to take away from others in the section.
Well, right, because you're already going to typically work the match anyway, so it makes no sense.
Most likely.
So you're not going to need a slot to be a competitor. So
right. I mean, if it were, by chance I decided I didn't want to work the match, right? I would maybe say, hey.
You would get all the shit in the world for not working the match, just like me. I can't go to a match without working.
Yeah, it's like, hey, why aren't you working this match, right?
I mean, the bigger thing for us. So the way so at Cardinal we got 1 slot for Carry Optics. There were 3 slots given to the Ohio North, and Cardinal was one of the clubs that had enough activity points to get a slot.
Because you got a ton of Carry Optics shooters who shoot at Cardinal.
Well, exactly. And if you think about it, you're a new club. Like, this is
right.
You're very brand new.
We were the second largest by activity points, second largest club in the Ohio North section this year, and this was our first year. So the cool part about it was Dan and I got to sit down and figure out our slot policy. So the slot went out to someone who actually helped us set up quite a bit.
I love that.
And the 2 biggest qualifications were, did they shoot our match, and how did they support the club? And how did they support the club is, how did they help set up? So the guy that got it is a great help to our club. He shot Carry Optics all year, and I think he shot Carry Optics 6 of the 8 matches that we ran, and helped set up at least 6 out of the 8 matches that we ran.
Yeah, and Dan was
doing a no-brainer.
Yeah, and Dan's doing something cool. Like for a while, he was comping them with their match and the gas fee, right?
Yeah.
So that builds great rapport for the club. They wanted to take care of the people who help set up. And I know it's a bitch to get people to help set up. Like, I don't know what you got, like Corey, this 3 or 4 people who usually show up for you guys.
I mean,
But-
we had a really consistent 3 people,
Yeah.
myself, Dan, and Anthony Zabonic. Now, other people, so Josh Eldridge, he came in and helped set up. He's the one that got the slot. We've got a couple other guys that have come out like 2 or 3 times, but it wasn't the 4 of us really were the consistent core who set the matches. And the biggest thing is we don't want that to stay the same. We want more people out there, because I always told people, I said, if it was just Dan and I, we're only going to set up 5 stages, and it's going to be 5 speed shoots. you get 10 people out, and we can split into 2 crews. We'll set up 10 or 11 stages because we can.
Yeah, you got the you got the bodies to put the work around. You're also smart. You have impact drivers to pound nails in the ground. Everyone needs one of those. You can go
Huge
get one.
time saver.
Go if you need something that you don't already have a bit. Go to Shooting Sports Innovations. They've got you one. I mean, it's like $40, but still, like, go buy it. It'll save your back and your hand.
Oh, they're great.
They're $40 well worth it.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, we maybe have 6 people who help set up on an occasional basis, but it's a dedicated core crew, and we set up certain types of stages and of certain difficulty or technicality. It's like, as a shooter in this sport, if you want something different, don't just speak up and bitch. Like, speak up, bitch, and then give us an actual solution. It's like, give me a stage design. If you want to see this on the ground, give me something ahead of time, so I'm not coming up with something, or my people aren't coming up with something. Give us something you want.
And the biggest thing for us too is we've got flexibility. If you say, hey, Corey, I can't be there on Saturday, but I can come out on Thursday night and set a stage, great. We might end up having to change a little bit of it just on the debugging, making sure that it's, every stage that we set for a club match is looked at 2 to 3 times before it gets out for the club. And then for a major, we're out there from Sunday through the following Sunday for setup and then the match. So we're going to look at those stages 5, 6, 7 times before they see a shooter. But if you can't be out there, especially for club matches, if you can't be out there on Saturday to help us set up, hey, I will have no problem making sure that you have access to the walls and the target stands to set up the match, to set up a stage or 2 on Thursday night when you can go out.
Oh yeah. Brett,
I was going to add, one of the other reasons we want more input from more competitors is so things don't get stale. I mean, it's the same reason that we're grabbing stages from as many of the clubs in Ohio as we can for the state championship, right? We don't want things to be all the same. We don't want them to all have the same flavor, right? So if you've got ideas, right, bring them to us, right? Even if you've never designed a stage before, maybe you don't know the rules for stage design and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's in the rule book, so you can read it, right? But it helps to have somebody with experience to help you out with that. So if you've got ideas, especially if you're in my section and shoot at the clubs I shoot at, come to me. I'll gladly help you figure that stuff out, right? And then you can start submitting stage designs of your own. There's almost always, a call for stage designs for the bigger major matches, right? We're doing it. I know there's, pretty much every nationals, they said, hey, submit some stage designs. Usually it's, we're looking for this kind of stage or something like that. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to contribute in a way that, even if you're not going to help set up, right? I wish you would, just because that's one of the things we have the most issue with. But even if you're not going to help set up, if you can contribute to design, that's a way that you can help, because then that's less brain space somebody else has to take doing that same thing.
That takes time. I mean, it takes a lot of time, and even if so, I will send a stage to Dan, and Dan will say, I like this part and this part. That's perfectly fine. As long as that's helping him out, because he gets a little bit's taken off his plate for a monthly match. So if you guys say, hey, Corey, I want to set it, I don't really know a full stage, but here's my idea for the basis of the stage, send it to us. We will be happy to rework that or put that into a full stage, and whether that's for a club match or a major or both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, someone's going to help you. They're going to help you figure it out and they're going to mentor you. SketchUp, you can find it free on the internet, or you can do those awesome 3D kits, even though the scale's not quite right on the kits.
Yeah, but so that's the thing. The scale's not right on the kits, but the scale's not right on paper versus what it looks like on the ground anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you can design in SketchUp. You can put it on a freaking napkin for all I care, right?
Or you can be like me and buy a 3D printer and go print your own set, and you spend a lot more money buying a 3D printer and printing your own set than you would just go buy the kit. But hey, the scale's right.
Yeah, but then you can also use your 3D printer to make parts for your reloading press, right?
Right. Or my gun.
But
I mean,
yeah.
You gonna make a polymer lower now?
No.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely paper napkin. Just hopefully it's not a dirty napkin. I'd hope. Like don't
wipe your mouth with it and then draw something on it. But yeah, I mean, hand drawn is fine. I mean, as long as you get the idea of what you're trying to do on the stage.
That's where people started.
I mean,
and 20 years ago when we didn't have SketchUp or 3D printers, people were hand drawing stages, and that worked fine.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot. There's a lot to give back to the sport too. Like you could volunteer your time in some form of way, being a staff. Stages help set up. Everyone appreciates every form of help, because I know every match director usually is pulling their hair out at the twilight hour of the match, and like, shit, there's so much shit that still needs to be done. I'm only one person, but that's why you have like a committee or a crew of people who are like, all right, cool, you get this job, you get this job, you have this job, do it.
Yep.
And that's a nice thing about the Buckeye Blast this year is Corey, you are building a team to take care of all these things and figure it out. It's not just on Dan, it's not on you, it's not just on Paul or Brad. It's a whole like group collaborative effort. And
I think that was the one thing. I listened to a lot of podcasts more recently, and Matt Hopkins with Area 3. That's one thing he preached, was assign people to do things so that you're not doing everything. So that's kind of what Dan and I have discussed, is let's make sure that neither of us are doing everything, so that if something happens and we can't next year, one of us can pick it up, and B, we're not overwhelming ourselves. It's like Dan and I have split sponsorship, kind of down the middle. I'm taking care of staffing and stats. He's taking care of all the money, that type of thing. So we're making sure that we're using our skill sets to the max, because we're good at certain things and not good at others. Fortunately, Dan and I kind of offset each other.
I mean, you're both in the financial field, so it makes things, you're good with the money, right? You can figure out how you got to stretch it and make it move, and what you need out of sponsorships too. It's like, well, we have enough cash liquidated to be able to, with all these match fees, I don't necessarily need cash, but most sponsors won't give you cash anyway. Well, I mean, you might, because you actually have cash on the table you're talking about. So
yeah, so we've got some sponsors that are giving cash instead of soft dollar prizes.
But, right, and some companies are better than for that too, right? Like they're just like, screw it.
Yeah, and we're not just going for the traditional places either. We're talking to local companies and saying, hey, do you guys want to be a part of our match? If they're pro-gun, there's no reason why, or not, I shouldn't say pro-gun. If they're just not anti-gun and they want, if it's a restaurant and they want people to come there, why not put a banner up at the match?
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing.
Oh yeah, and there's a whole untapped potential. I mean, every podcast probably talks about it, of getting Coke, Pepsi, whatever, to get sponsored, bring big dollars back into the sport. But we got to take it one step at a time in the local areas, the local major twos, to help, bring that up. And it's somewhat hard for some of these businesses nowadays to even give any money because of what happened with the economy with COVID. Everything getting rocky, and you still can't get anything. I bet there's still things that are on back order that people wanted in 2020.
But even if you can, you can find a mom and pop place that can order you 2 pallets of water or a pallet of water, and they can sell it to you at cost. Well, that's way better than going to Walmart or Sam's Club and buying water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one step closer to having water on every bay, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you can find a place that already has coolers and that you can borrow their coolers in exchange for sponsorship, great. Now I don't have to go buy coolers. So there's so many different things that you can think outside the box to find for your match, that you don't have to go spend more money for it. And that's, I think, the biggest reason why you don't have just stage and division sponsors that are, $2,000, $1,500. You've got golds and silvers and bronzes where, the lowest sponsorship goes down to, I think it's less than $100 if you want, recognition in the match book. But that's okay that's great if you're letting me borrow coolers in exchange for recognition in the match book, that's awesome.
That is, yeah, and it is, and it's the step we need to take in the right direction to be able to make this bigger and better. Because the more you can make it, it doesn't hurt to put someone in the match book or put their banner up or get them a banner made for the cost of what they're bringing back to you, making your life easier.
Yeah, it takes 10 seconds to add a name to a match book that's going to be published digitally anyway, right?
Right, or 2 minutes to put the banner up that they supply.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Just to have me turn around and say, hey, you're going to have to move that banner because it's in a bad spot.
Good thing Dan's in charge of all the banners.
So send all banners to Dan. So we're going to get banners with a bunch of dicks on the back. So you can't hide it some way or another.
I'm gonna make sure to have him move a bunch of banners then, now that you said that.
Yeah, Alex, when are you sponsoring my match?
I don't know. Is there an affordable slot for me?
I mean, he said less than $100. That's pretty affordable, right?
$20.
What's the advertising value of this podcast?
I don't know. We'll figure something out.
There you go.
I mean, I'm already making sure I'm going to pimp my own match with my banners, so that's why I got to hit him, dude. I mean, like, if I put enough work all year into this crap, it's not crap, but all year into this stuff, it's like, better well put my own shit up. I mean, I am very grateful. I have Matt Sheely very close to us, and he's good friends with, one of my range masters, so it makes it very easy to be like, all right, just sign here, and this is what you're going to give us. But
yeah, we were fortunate. Matt's on board for a stage sponsor as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. Matt Sheely he makes great parts because that's why he's awesome. And that's why you need those grips on your staccatos or your prodigies because they will work and make your gun better. I mean, that's just half of my commercial right there.
Shameless plug for Matt Sheely.
I mean, usually I edit this at some point and then I have to do like a whole 5-minute commercial that everyone has to sit through to get to the second half of the show. So it's usually how it goes.
I mean, we've been plugging a lot of the best sponsors in the sport throughout the entire conversation, right?
Yeah, we got Bobby Q's gonna be hit. That's freaking awesome. I haven't had a Bobby Q breakfast burrito, and I'm gonna be getting all of those. Those
are so good.
So good.
So good.
All right, yeah. So yeah, it's exciting. Bobby Q's gonna be there, and Brian. Hopefully, I hope Brian comes. I miss seeing Brian. I love seeing him at any match I can. He makes it that match even more of an event because he's there. He's got the kind of golds. I'm glad kind of Gold's actually rebranding though. Like they're gonna get rid of the hemp leaves on the cans, which isn't a big deal. But when you want to take him into work, it's kind of like I gotta put a sleeve, I gotta put a koozie on this darn can. I mean, some of us still have to go into the office. Brad doesn't have to worry about that because he just works from home forever.
Yeah, I mean, I do gotta go to customers every now and then. Life of a sales guy. So I wouldn't be able to take a cone of gold into one of my customers, although I probably wouldn't care even if I did. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good sponsor. Crown of Gold for a stage or something, Corey. The staff dinner drinks of choice.
There you go.
I don't know. Has anyone tried mixing those yet? Because I'm kind of curious if someone's gonna mix them.
I don't know that I would want it at dinner, man. Energy drinks, they'll keep me up all night.
Yeah, maybe they'll sponsor our breakfast. We'll have to talk to them.
There you go.
We'll have to talk to them.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming there's plenty of hotels. Are you going to put us on a close hotel, or how far is our drive from the hotel?
So Dan's working on that, but the 2 hotels that we're talking to are 10, 15, 20 minutes away.
Well, that's not.
But it's all it's all highway driving.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately there is no hotel at the exit the match is at. But there's a couple hotels, 1 exit south, and there's a couple more hotels 2 exits south. The hotel that I would like to stay at is at Polaris, which there's a ton of stuff to do. There's places to go eat food, great hotel, especially being there for a week. It's nice to have a little bit higher end or a little bit more comfortable hotel because who wants to stay at the Motel 6 for a week?
Yeah, and then for folks who like to use Airbnb instead of hotels, I'm sure there's plenty of Airbnb
Tons.
spots around,
Yeah,
right?
Tons of Airbnbs.
So if you want to get a group of folks together, 5, 6, 7 guys, or 5, 6, 7 people, because not everybody's a guy, I guess. Then you could probably find an Airbnb for a really good price, really close to the range.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's endless opportunities, right? Oh, and don't forget, Leif's going to be there. Is he going to shoot one day? I'm assuming, and then sit at his booth?
If he didn't, I would be surprised.
Yeah, Leif will definitely be there. It's just a matter of what he's doing for us.
Yeah. It'll be good to see Leif. Everyone can either give him shit or buy a holster he's got on hand if he's got any, because that's the time to buy. If you need a holster now, that's what you do, is you just buy it off of him, like right there, hand him $200 and call it. You're overpaying. You're not overpaying for it. You're going to pay more than the MSRP, but it'll be worth it because you don't have to wait.
But he also reps, like, I mean, he's got Henning stuff too. So, I mean, he's got the T1000.
Oh yeah, those hangers are awesome. Those Henning hangers are amazing.
The hangers are cool. The T900.
I need to upgrade from I've got a Boss hanger on order from Leif, and I need to call him and say, hey, send me a Henning.
Yeah, drop him another $100.
Well, I mean, you're gonna love the hanger, but you're gonna be like, okay, this thing's painful just to get it set up exactly how I like it. There's so many different options with that thing. It's just like, okay, I gotta figure this out, right? But yeah, best holsters and hangers out there. GX Products and Henning.
Yep. And then you can get, if you need a target focused trainer, you can get one from Stonebridge Gunworks. I mean, because those are handy. But yeah, we've talked a lot about this match, but I guess to summarize, because we're getting near the end, is 13 awesome stages that are going to be vetted, debugged, plus chrono with 2 half days. So their barbecue's going to be there. So I mean,
2 half days means you can have lunch from him twice.
Yes.
Who doesn't love that? That's worth going.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Just keep stopping by. He'll thank you later. Just make sure you show him some love, right? Because
that he keeps hot coffee ready all day long. So
coffee's good all time. I don't know. I mean, it's good in the summertime. It's good in the winter. I mean, coffee is coffee.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, can you think of any final words we need to speak about this match before we call this a wrapper?
Did we have any questions that you needed to answer?
We answered all of those questions through our flowing, easy conversation.
Magnificent. Great job.
But yeah, so we'll see Corey. He's their stats guy, and other planner, Brad. He's going to be a range master. Congratulations on making range master, my friend.
Thank you.
And guys, until next time, get out and do things. We'll see you on the next one.